in 2 days' time. It's also my wedding anniversary. So I'll send my Zelle, my bank statement. I'm receiving land, I'm receiving houses. I don't used to receive anything before now. So I'm receiving houses and land and money and dollars now. Okay.
Okay,
So
noted.
if you are inspired, let me know. Okay, thank you everyone. I really appreciate this house. It's been an opportunity to serve. I really miss our weekly meetings, actually. I really miss our weekly meetings. I mean, once a month feels like forever, but I'm glad that we are all here. Thank you to all our first timers for joining us. This is House of Saviors. We started this 3 years ago. It used to be a weekly meeting, but now it's monthly. Okay, so today we're looking at how to scale a business. I mean, one of the things that is very tough, maybe one of the toughest things for an African is to scale the business. An average African business, maybe like 60%, will die in the first 5 years, thereabout. And then if it's sustained as a family business. One of the toughest things I've found as a consultant, well, as a strategist, for the organizations I've worked with is that I mean, a lot of CEOs, when I used to live in Nigeria, they will consult me, oh, Praise, come and help us do strategy. And the first question I always ask them is, why did you set up this business? Because a lot of the times, you realize by the time you do a bit of, root cause, you realize that the CEO is always the problem. When you set up a business to fund a lifestyle, there is no consultant that can help you scale that business because you are not, the guy is not thinking of moving beyond. I mean, he just set up the thing to fund his lifestyle. I once met someone who said he set up his business because he just bought a new SUV and he needed the business to be supporting there. So you can't be telling that man, scale your business, right? And so I realized that when your why is not strong enough, you won't even go beyond where you are. And then you won't even be able to relinquish, corporate governance won't be there. You'll just be telling the accountant, wire me money every time you are broke. I've run what looks like a business for a couple of years, and there's never been one time that I was broke that I tell to the accountant, send me money. Sometimes I'm really, really broke. The company is rich, they have money, but I've never asked for, so if we don't do it right, we can't scale it. All right. So today, I'm not a business strategist. I'm a man of God. Right. That's who I am. I serve God, I serve his people. I'm just a man of God, so I don't know too much about business. But the man who knows the business is here. It's so dear to my heart. Our facilitator today, his name is a Nigerian American angel investor, venture capitalist, entrepreneur, and U.S. Army veteran with over a decade of experience spanning military, non-profit, and private sector. He's the founder and executive director of Midlothian Angel Network. I'm a part of that network, one of the America's fastest growing angel network, managing over 1.5 million in assets under management and a portfolio of 35 companies collectively valued at more than 150 billion US dollars. 150 billion US dollars. He's a graduate of Stanford Ignite program at Stanford Graduate School of Business. While he brings expertise in leadership, innovation, and business strategy, he's also represents the United States as a senator at the World Business Angel Investment Forum, a partner of the G20 Global Partnership for Financial Inclusion, currently pursuing his Doctor of Business Administration at the University of Texas, Dallas. His research focused on corporate governance and executive incentives. He sits on a few boards, both in the US and Africa, including Harvest House, Texas, Burlington Rotary Club, Texas, Rexter Credit, Vesti Technologies, Lagos Leaguer, Premier BNUS, to mention but a few. While he's passionate about empowering entrepreneurs to scale their businesses through access to capital, strategic growth, and effective governance. He resides in Dallas, Texas, with his wife Omotolani and Anthony, licensed in both Nigeria and Texas, and their two daughters. Wale is very, very dear to my heart. Um, is a testament to what I've always thought that the highest level of mentoring is when your mentees become your mentors. So in the early days, I used to mentor Wale. Now Wale mentors me on a number of things, especially navigating this North American terrain. So House of Saviors, please let's go to the chat box, show some love, and please invite your friends. If you have friends who should be in this meeting, you have not. Usually we cross these numbers easily. So invite them, send your link to them, and tell them to join. So let's make welcome Adewale Salami. Wale, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, PF. I hope I can be heard. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Good morning, guys. House of Saviors, good morning. I am not a stranger here. I'm actually part of the house. So PF, we need to go back to weekly. Um, we need to go back to weekly because even myself, I have missed the weekly calls, the weekly meetings. Um, yes, I would like to start by saying happy birthday to PF. I don't like PF always embarrasses me anytime he brings me here, saying that he used to be my mentor. I don't understand that. He's not used to. He is still my mentor. And the beauty of what we're doing this morning is the fact that this is scaling in action, right? When you can reproduce yourself in others, right? And something needed to be done, you don't even need to bother your head. Just say, okay, you come here, come and do it, right? This is PF, demonstrating the scale of what God has put inside of him. Thank you so much for the gift of you, PF. We really appreciate you. We appreciate the gift of God in your life. Yes, I have a short speech to prepare to welcome everybody. Yeah, so good morning, good afternoon, everyone, depending on wherever you're joining us from. My name is Wale. I don't think you need any other introduction. That is all you need. And it's truly an honor to be here with you today. I mean, given the week before PF's birthday, I mean, I feel very special about that. And I am very happy to talk to you about one topic that is very passionate to me and that I'm passionate about, which is scaling your business. But before I go any further, I must honor the people who made today possible. A heartfelt thank you to my mentor, uh, Pastor Praise for He doesn't like to be called pastor. We know he's an apostle in several places, right? The visionary founder of the House of Saviors. Um, PF, as we call him, has been a guide and an anchor for me since my college days. I met PF, I can never forget, February 2006, right? We were in a training together, in a room together. When they were facilitating and they inked on him, the kind of wisdom that I was using, I was like, nah, there's no way. I have to hitch my wagon to this guy, right? So, as in, anytime I got confused, be it relationship, anything, I just like PF Alpha, and he always responds. He always responded. Was always available. PF, thank you very much. He's been a guide and anchor since my college days, like you said, shaping the way I think about leadership, family, and destiny. I also want to specially recognize his incredible wife, so that I don't get in trouble. Mrs. Tosin, praise for Wowe, whose strength and partnership has been instrumental in the work that PF is doing, and the entire House of Saviors team. Thank you very much, everyone, who have worked tirelessly to put this event together. Thank you for creating this platform where leaders and entrepreneurs can actually come together to grow. Scaling a business is not just about chasing growth. I have a PowerPoint I'm going to be sharing. Is it sharing? Is it being shared already, PF?
It's been shared, but you need to do the slideshow. Go
Yes, I will. All right,
faithfully.
sweet. Let's do that. All right, outstanding. Okay, good. We're
Yeah,
good to go.
yeah.
All right. Yeah. So in my presentation, you will see that scaling a business is not just about, it's not business, it's not about chasing growth. Growth is actually different from scaling. We will do a deep dive in that very soon. It's about scaling is about building systems, people, processes that allow your business to expand without crumbling under its own weight. I've had the privilege of seeing from these two perspectives. One, on one hand, through the Midlothian Angel Network, which we started out of the bottom of COVID in 2021. I'm going to be sharing that story like later on, so I don't want to really bore you. But it's been a privilege of a lifetime to, for God to commit this into my hands. It was during COVID. People were bored. I'm sure a lot of you remember. There was a new app that came out then. What's it called? Where people go online and we're just talking at each other. I've forgotten the name of that app now because it's faded. And I'll tell you
Clubhouse.
what. Yes, thank you.
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse, right? What killed Clubhouse is what we're discussing today, scaling. And I'll tell you some of the mistakes they made, right? So I was very bored during COVID, and I stumbled on one podcast. It's called How I Built This. If you're a business owner, you need to put that podcast like as number one. And so what that guy does is go around to talking to founders, CEOs in any sector, asking them how they started their company and all of that. So for the first time, this guy interviewed a Nigerian American guy who built a SaaS product. His name is Tokwe Awotono. How many of you have used Calendly before? Right. So Tokwe, anytime you use Calendly, it was built by a Nigerian. So during that interview, he was talking about how difficult, how hard it was for him to build this company to raise money. Right. I mean, I pride myself as a strong man, right? But I cried listening to that podcast because it eats so deep. When God has been talking your heart to do something, right, and you refuse, but listen to that. So I'm just like, okay. We need to do something about it. Tokwe had to liquidate his 401k. He sold his house to be able to put that money into building Calendly, you know. So I felt like, okay, and of course, one of the things Tokwe said was they didn't fund him because of the way he looks and all of that. Yeah, it's okay to put the blame somewhere, but PF would tell you from the way we were built to look for answers, not to be looking for excuses. So I felt like the only way to prevent the next Tokwe from having that issue is for us to like roll up our sleeves and get down. Let's fund those guys, right? We don't need solutions from abroad. Like let's do it by ourselves, right? So that is the story of Midlow Angels. That's how Midlow Angels start. I've worked with startups and portfolio companies valued collectively in the hundreds of billions, helping them to refine their model, scale with investment and membership. And on the other hand, I've also been in the trenches myself, building Salami's farm. I live on a very small farm in Dallas. We have a goat farm. When I'm done here now, I have to go and carry some goats. So it's real life. It's a real life. Um, and yeah, if you guys are in Dallas at any time, please just hook up with PF. I'm sure he will drag you here. He'll be happy to host you on the farm. So when we started Salami's farm in 2000 so Milo started 2021, Salami's farm started 2023, right? It was supposed to be a small family venture, rooted in passion and history, but also the resilience of our immigrant community in Texas. But over the past few years, I've had to learn the real lesson on scaling, how to move from subsistence farming to structured agribusiness, how to manage people, supply chain, how to create a brand that customer trust. You know, it hasn't been easy, and that's the first thing I'll tell you. If anybody tells you and it's all stories of flowers, it's a lie. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it real. It hasn't been easy. It's been very, very hard. But it's been deeply rewarding too. And it reminds me daily that scaling isn't just a theory, it's a discipline, execution and vision applied consistently. In today's session, I'm going to be breaking down the difference between growth and scaling. And we also explore the framework that can help you to get there, covering your team, your processes, the products, and of course, the services. There's something we call the 4 Ps of scaling. I'm going to be sharing that. I also share stories, not just from my time in the U.S. Army. As in research has shown that folks who retire or who graduate from military academies or boot camps, they do better in business. It's not because there's a jazz that that has been applied to them. It's because the military U.S. Army is actually the largest leadership training organization in the world. They are not just teaching us how to shoot guns, they teach us structure, right? You see soldiers doing something 6 a.m. every day. Like, even if everyone will fall, you must show up. If you don't show up there, you get queried, right? And those are some of the tenets, those are some of the principles you need to really to succeed in life. All right. Without much ado, I think we can, at the end of this time together, my hope is that we will be able to leave this place not just inspired and equipped, but with practical and perspective to scale your business in a way that is sustainable, impactful, and true to your values. Very important. True to your values. Thanks once again. Thank you for being here. Let's dive in. Let's build something together. All righty. Okay. Here's a short bio. PF has said it already, so I don't need to. But I'll just like to probably point out some things. Yeah. So apart from Midlo being an angel network, we are also a fund of fund, and I'll tell you why. Very, very simply, because we believe. So, what exactly is Midlothian Angel Network? Um, we're a network that invests in tech startups. I said tech, all right, because I've seen a lot of people tell me, "You can you invest in my salon?" No, madam, we can't do salon. It has to be tech enabled, right? Why tech? Because tech multiplies. It helps you to scale, right? In other words, we invest in businesses that can scale. I think that is the first thing. That's why I'm owning in on that. Um, why? Because IT duplicates effort, like it changes the game, right? And I've had the opportunity because of what I do to be able to also serve on some boards. Yeah, Register is one of our portfolio company. Is a CBN licensed microfinance bank. I mean, they are also a fintech. I mean, these days everybody wants to do so many things. It's I mean, this is what I love about Register is being built by the founders. It's actually built. It's being run by a couple. I don't think they're 30 yet. Very super young, very resilient, super scrubby. Like these guys, the last time I was in Lagos to check their office, they dragged me to as in inside the market. I've never seen them. We got lost severally, you know. Like and you see young people like sleeping in offices to get stuff done. You realize that it's not only Elon Musk that is sleeping in his Tesla factory that is getting like there are young Nigerians who are doing this stuff and doing that scale. What I love most about Register was last year, sometimes last year, I think I can share this. I'll just probably remove some details. Sometimes last year, Register was approached by a bigger microfinance bank that they want partnership, right? So, of course, I serve on the board. So they told us about the offer. So what the owner of that bank wanted to do was because he knew these guys were young people, so he wanted to just like use how did they put it now? Use bread to take their their soup, right? So we got it. We told them set up a meeting, let them meet with the board. During the meeting with those guys, before that meeting, I told the founders to prepare a comparative analysis, right? They've given us their number. Oh yeah, you two do your numbers. Let's put it side by side, and this is very important for scaling. The bank that wanted to partner with them, that wanted Register to acquire them, have been in operation for 5 years. I mean, sorry, for 10 years. Register has always been like 4 years at that time. When we look at like comparable on the comparables, Register was doing like 10x better than that company, right? So when we made that presentation to those people, we told them point blank, we are sorry, this merger is not happening, this partnership is not happening because these guys are doing way better. And that is why it's important to scale. Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg is one of the guys that inspire me. And what he's saying here is move fast and break things. Unless you're breaking stuff, you're not moving fast enough. Yeah, that is very, very relevant to business. I've always believed that, my first degree is in mechanical engineering. One law that I love so much is the law of inertia, I mean, physics has a lot of laws. And one of it is that, well, my corollary from that law, from the law of motion, Newton's law of motion, the third one, is that if the rate of change within your company is less than the rate of change outside of your company, your death is near. What am I saying? You must really be moving very fast, right? Every morning in Africa, there's a gazelle that wakes up knowing that it has to run and outrun the fastest lion or it gets killed, right? In the same in the same place, in the same ecosystem, a lion wakes up knowing that if I don't run very well and catch the slowest gazelle, I won't have food today. Right? Would you say any of them is wrong? No. But the only person that will see the next day is the one that runs the fastest. All right. So I think that's what Mark Zuckerberg was trying to tell us here. Like move fast. Like most times as Africans, we ask for permission too much. Like you want to do stuff, you don't need permission from anybody, right? You do not need permission from anybody. So let's demystify scaling. And I'm going to be sharing my personal experience. I think I've already spoken about Midlo investing in startups. I would say investing in startup is a blood sport. It's not easy, right? You deal with all kind of character, right? From the ones that when they needed money from you, they can probably come and wash your shoes and all of that. But the moment you wire that check, PF will tell you, because PF has PF has invested in a couple of our portfolio companies. The moment they get that money, oh Lord, it's a different story. As in, I'm still thinking of writing a book about that. But it's been a very rewarding journey. Of course, we'll tell you the horrible stories, the crazy story, but the reality is not all that bad, right? There are also amazing stories. Like I told you, the story of Register, of founders who listen to you, who tell you. I mean, they listen to whatever you say, right? They are the ones that keep our blood flowing, right? And I think I mentioned earlier on about Salami's farms. We started 2022. It was passion. I mean, we found ourselves with about 5 acres of land, and I was like, okay, what are we supposed to do with this, right? And for me, anytime I get to any city, I try to understand the fundamentals, right? One of the fundamentals of succeeding in America is taking advantage of these tax codes, right? And if you really understand this country, you would know that the American as an enterprise, I'm talking about the country, is built for businesses, not for individuals. That is why if you're a single person, you pay more tax than a married person with kids, right? I mean, we'll unpack that later on. Pierre, by the way, I think you need to bring in Paul, because Paul knows how to explain. Me, I just scatter everywhere. All right. Yeah. So scaling through supply chain management, branding, mechanization. You know, Salami's farm is still like in the lab, right? So we still have a lot of things that are up there. But it's been a wonderful experience. Yes. And then lastly, my military experience. Like I said, the army is a leadership school. Um, I've been probably stylishly, telling my wife, all that our daughters are they need to go through the military school. Not because we cannot send them to school and pay for it, right? But because there are some lessons that you can't teach as a parent, that only a barrack can teach them, right? And thankfully, none of them is against it, right? We'll hope it remains that way. Why the military? Because the importance of systems. The military teaches you the importance of two systems, discipline and accountability. Accountability is very, very important. And I'm going to be touching on that later on. There's a system in the army that we call the battle body system. Yeah, I'll deep dive on that later on. And then one of my favorite quotes when it comes to scaling is that scaling is like an army unit. It succeeds because of structure, not just energy. You see soldiers, they can do anything, right? But what makes it work? Have you seen a parade before, a military parade? You see so many things happening, so many movement, right? What makes it work is not because they are agile. It's because whatever they are doing, there's a stuff in their head, and it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. Is a cadence. By one, they know what to do. Two, they know what to do. Three, right? Four. That is what gives that perfection, right? And only few things can teach you that in life apart from the military. So, what exactly does it mean to scale? I think I don't want to. I'm not here to preach, right, or to teach. It's gonna be facilitative. So please unmute yourself, or you can type in what do you understand by scaling. Let's demystify it together. Maybe I can even learn one thing or the other. So when you see the term scaling, what does it mean to you? I cannot see this. Yes, please go ahead.
I don't have a hand raised thing, sorry. So I could say being able to replicate a certain set of activities to the same standard multiple times, and at the same time while increasing the output.
Outstanding. You didn't tell us your name.
My name is Toyosi. I live in London.
All right. Thank you, Toyosi.
Thank you.
Yeah, you sound like Kemi, but no, that's a joke. That's a joke.
funny.
All right. Thank you very much, Toyosi. Do we have any other taker? My next question will be, what is the difference between scaling and growth?
We have response in the comment box. Yeah, someone said expansion. Desola said getting more results with less or with the existing level of resources. Blessing said scaling is moving higher with increased productivity. Yeah.
Oh, I think we have some professors in the house. Yeah, I mean, probably we should just turn this a panel session. But thank you guys for those contributions. I think you're all right. For me, I would say growth is adding more resources to increase revenue, right? And it's linear, right? If I am doing 2 programs now at Midlow and I want to do 10 within the next month, right? The typical thinking is, oh, just hire more staff, right? So that they can deal with the operations and all of that, right? That is growth, right? That's why people tell you, oh, we grew from 100 head counts to 1,000, right? That's growth. However, when we talk about scaling, we're talking about increasing revenue without proportionally increasing costs. Of course, you know that when you hire people, that is some cost, right? Especially in America, because you're not just hiring them and paying them hourly. You have to also consider health care. That's why people prefer AI now, because AI does not have emotion. It doesn't go and leave us. It doesn't have it doesn't call out, right? So that is what scaling really is about. It's about you increasing your revenue proportionally, exponentially without costs going up. Okay. Um, and we're going to be looking at the 4 P's of scaling. The first, which is the most important, is the people, right? For you to be able to scale as an entrepreneur, you must build a strong values-driven team. A strong values-driven team. At Midlow, I remember when we were working on our annual report in December last year. We look at the numbers and it was like, I don't understand. With all that we have done, we have not really spent so much. In fact, a friend in Abuja chatted me up and said, I don't understand this. You said you invested this amount, but you're and you have 20 people working for the organization, right? But your what did he say, sir? He said, but money spent on HR is not so high. I said, yes. I said, because out of those 20 people, 18 of them are working for it's voluntary work for 18 of them, right? Like PF works for Midlow, right? Because if I want to invest in anything leadership, I will call PF, right? So all our investors work for the network, right? The goal is to create a network effect. We use we use the best of ourselves to get to the next level, right? So if you're thinking of scaling as an entrepreneur, you need to realize that not the people you focus on or you need are not just your hires. They're not just your employees, right? That is why you see companies that have boards, they succeed, right? Because when you have board, it's a voluntary position. They don't come in like every day. It's not a 24. They don't do it every day, right? But you can quickly pick their brain and say, yeah, if I'm stuck in this place, can you help me with that? And most times they will do it for free. Of course, if it's a for-profit organization, don't really do it for free. But if they're a startup, we can help them. But once they start eating IPO and all of that stuff, money has to come. Anyways, the next one is delegate. You need to move from operator to leader. This PowerPoint you see, right, is beautiful, right? I can tell you for a fact, I didn't do it 100%. I have an amazing assistant, Abdul. I think he's on the call. Abdul is not even in Texas with me. Abdul is in Nigeria, right? I had Abdul last year, and for the first 6 months, I didn't even see him until I had the meeting in Nigeria and he came over, right? And with Abdul, I just need to tell him, Abdul, this is what we need to do, right? He'll tell me how far, how high do you want it to go, right? And that is the power of delegation. There are some meetings, that I'll tell him, Abdul, I won't be available for this call. Please go. At the beginning, I could see the hesitation in his face, like, I hope I won't fall this man's hand, right? But what I usually tell him is, mistakes are part of the process. He has made plenty mistakes, right? Like of course, we've had our one-on-one. Some sessions are hot, some are. It depends on what mood I'm feeling, right? But it's part of the process. They're gonna mess it up. Just know that as a leader, if you cannot recreate yourself, then you really are not building something that will last. You're not building something that will last. And lastly, culture eats strategy for breakfast. The culture of your organization is more important than your strategy. If you are the type of boss that when there's a mistake, you fly off the wheel, right? You are not, and as in, you are not promoting a culture of creativity, of innovation, right? So it's going to be difficult for you to scale. Number two is process. How do you create repeatable systems? It is very, very important. So one of the things that we are known for in the network is we love celebrating our people. I was talking to a mentor of mine earlier in the week. She's building a new business, so we're looking at the business models and all of that. She is a pastor's wife in Central Texas, and so we touched on celebrating people, and I'm like, yeah, I love celebrating my people. She said, why? I said, because they give me money to invest, right? We take money from them, we invest. I said, if we don't celebrate them, the money will stop coming. And at that point, she was like, "How? That's interesting. We have a church group and all of that, and we have people's birthday." She was like, "It never even occurred to us to do flyers for them, tell people to wish them happy birthday." So that would go a long way. I said, "Yes, yes, yes." People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? You need to have like a system that can easily do some of those things, and those are systems, right? Put in a system. For us to do a flyer, it takes just about 5 minutes because we have a template already. Just put the picture, put the name, put the title. It's done, right? They don't have to do it all over again. Automate where possible. Use tools, use CRMs, use accounting tools. We can send emails to all our networks within by just clicking a button, right? Why? We have MailChimp, we have all sort of tools, right? So I don't have to kill Abdul and tell him to be typing emails to angels one by one. Of course, sometimes I make him do that, if it's at the further one, because I've done that myself too. Number three, document your SOPs. What are your standard operating procedures? Like, document them. Like, documentation is very, very key. There's nothing we're doing at Midlo that is not documented. Everything is documented. We have a masterclass later today. Like, we wrote a white paper for that masterclass. But I could see that some of our partners are like, okay, why are we? What people are too jassy by it, right? but it is important. Documentation is very, very important to me. Your business should run without you. That is very, very important. In 2023, I had a personal, should I say, challenge or crisis where I had to take some time off away from the system, from the business, right? And of course, interestingly, one of the board members stepped in to run the organization. And guess what? They didn't even have to come and disturb me. Where is this? Where is that? Everything is documented. Like, we have a document for contacting all our CEOs if we want to have a meeting with them, like in the next 1 hour, right? So you really don't need me for anything, and that is how an organization should run. Your products and services, you should refine them until they are scalable. They are very, very scalable. Talking about the farm, one of the major issues we had with the farm was we're operating in an industry where there are people who have been doing this for decades. There's a farm 10 minutes from us, right? They have better equipment, larger scale. We don't even have half of the tools that they have, right? So it was difficult. I'm like, how do we find our unique selling point? But guess what? I found out that the restaurants, the caterers, there's a particular product that they need, that these farms, they are too big to do, right? They are big boys, right? I would recommend the book Blue Ocean Strategy, right? You need to go to places where your competitors would not think about. Not that they don't know it exists, they know, but they just feel like there's not much there. There's not much happening. That's the same thing that is happening in Nigeria, where you see Flutterwave, Money Point coming in to eat the lunch from the banks, right? Because the banks, they just left the informal market. They didn't know that the geologists need their POS. Like, almost everywhere you go in Nigeria now, everybody has POS. Who did that? It wasn't First Bank, it wasn't GTB. It was the fintech guys, the young boys, right? So it's very, very important for you to continue to refine your product. Ask yourself, how can we do this better? What is our competitor not doing, right? And focus on what works. Avoid spreading too thin, right? For me, Lord, I can try 100 things in one day, right? The one that doesn't work, I don't even remember them again. Right? We move, we go on. And last P is partnership. Partnership means you joining us together with other people to achieve your goal. Know when to bootstrap or when to raise funds. I will tell you, not every idea needs to be for funds to be raised, right? Because the moment you collect money from people, Hope you know the business is no longer yours again. No? You are just a manager. And one thing I always tell startups who come to us is, um, one thing I always tell them is the fact that I always advise them not to raise too much capital too early, right? Because if a company is worth $1 million, right? Why do you want to raise $500? Because the money is not free. That is you selling half of your company, right? Why don't you just raise my recommendation? The industry standard is raise 10% of your valuation at any time P, right? So I'll tell them instead of you asking 500K, take $100,000, right? Reserve 900K for yourself and your founders, right? For future raise, because the average startup will raise money between 6 to 12 times before they get to IPO, right? So why do you want to sell half of your company the first time you're raising money, right? So it's very important. Sometimes you need to just take your time, build gradually, till you get there. And number two, build alliances with investors, suppliers, and distributors. Not everything you need to really spend money on. Sometimes some relationships can get you amazing stuff. The farm, after we hit 1 year, I set up a board. I mean, I love structure. As a structure is very, very important because, like I told you, when you set up board or advisory boards or committees and all of that, what you are doing is you are getting free labor from friends and family, free labor. And guess what? They will be happy to do it. In fact, one of them called me yesterday from Maryland, telling me, Wale, the farm is not moving at the pace I want it. I'm like, madam, calm down. We will get there, right? Can you imagine? She's not the owner of the farm, but she has bought into that vision so much that she can see the next level, right? And that is very, very important. So let's look at the foundation of scaling. The first foundation for any company to scale is vision. Hmm? Investors back clarity, not confusion. Your why must be very, very obvious. I see a lot of founders come in and say, "Oh, I want to raise this and all of that," and I just ask them more question. And you know, if the pitch is going to last 30 minutes, the first 5 minutes, I know whether you are getting money or not, right? Because the Bible says, "Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh." No matter, forget all the vibes and everything. You would know when somebody is really sick. You would know when somebody is anointed for a problem to solve a problem, right? Some people they are looking for problem to solve, right? Some are looking for they are the problem looking for a solution, right? I mean, it's all crazy. But vision is very, very important. And what is vision, right? Vision is what you can see and that is not so clear to other people, right? That thing that refuses to go away. Before starting Midlo, I interned at a VC firm in 2018 during my MBA. And I didn't start Midlo until 3 years later, right? But while I was doing that internship, I knew we need to do something, right? That is what a vision is. It keeps coming back. It keeps coming back. What is that problem? See, God is a wonderful creator, right? There's a problem with your name on it. So my question to you this morning is, what is that? Right? I know many of us are 9 to 5 and all of that. Yeah, 9 to 5 is good. I mean, I won't tell you to go and fire your boss because I'm not ready to hire you, right? Not everybody will be entrepreneurs, right? But if God has consistently been tugging at your heart with an idea, start a business, buy a business, right? If I were you, I'll probably take a week or two off from that 9 to 5 because one of the dangers of 9 to 5 is it blocks you from seeing far into the future, right? So when you take breaks, I see people they take breaks, especially our okay, I don't want to cause any drama for PF. There's this gender that takes break and they will want stress themselves out from from the vacation. They come back tired, right? You know, my wife is on the call, so I think I can use that as an example. If she kicks me out, PF's house is not far. I'll manage the couch. So if we go on vacation with my wife, she'll have a list of 100 things for us to do. We have to go and check this museum. There's this stuff. There's this stuff. And the interesting thing about all of those things, none of those things is free. They are free. Like they cost money, right? Me, I'm from Ijebu, right? So my money, like I have to know the number. It has to make sense. So most times we always, have issues, but we have resolved now. I mean, now she's picking her battles. So if I tell her I'm not interested in this, she's like, okay, can I go without you? All the best, go. It's even better when it's a group stuff so that she can go with some other people, right? Why am I saying all of that. I don't even know how I got into that. But what I mean is, if your name is attached to that particular problem, it will keep on coming back, right? And take vacation so that you can clear your head. Clear your head. It's very, very important. Your why must be very obvious. Systems and processes are very important. I think I can't say enough of that. Build repeatable models that delivers consistent results. I told you, PF's birthday, we don't even need to say anything to PF. We have a flyer already ready for him. And we're just waiting for 12 o'clock to reach, and it's launched. It's already everywhere on Instagram. And God has given us tools. There's ChatGPT, blah, 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 AI, all of those AI. By the way, anytime you're using ChatGPT, we are thankful to you, because that's one of our portfolio company. We invested in ChatGPT about last year, Q3. Yeah, so use tools. God has blessed us with tools so that we can be efficient. The third foundation is talent, and I think I've already said that. People transition from doing the work to recruiting, delegating, and inspiring. When we started Midlo Angels in 2021, I literally was doing everything. Of course, I had two partners, Major Adeleke and Tommy Balogun, who provided guidance, from the top. But drafting all emails, all by days post, I was the one doing it. Guess what? Today we are like 4 years old. I don't do any of those things again, because we have a team. All I need to do is just like guide them. Sometimes they don't even wait for me to say anything. They know what to do, right? So it's important. I know one factor that many of you are wondering, is capital. Let's not deceive ourselves. Capital is very important. Bootstrapping. So the question is, do you want to bootstrap, or you want to raise angel round, or you want to collect money from people, which is venture capital? What I would say to that is the first investment should come from you, right? That is why personal finance is very, very important. I don't know if Pierre would do another session, where we can probably bring PF is a blessed man. He has lots of people who can do these things, right? I probably would not be able to do personal finance, but I know people who would be able to do it, right? My belief is that your salary, please, if you can write this down, your salary is a seed. It's not an harvest. Your salary is a seed, not an harvest. If you are working anywhere, and I don't care how much they are paying you, even if it's 2,000 naira, even if it's $2,000, even if it is not enough, that's the point I'm trying to make. You should be able to save something out of it. If you have to eat everything you are earning on a monthly basis, you can never scale. You can never grow. You can never grow. You remain where you are. And guess what? Yeah, maybe you are wondering about, okay, they'll promote me, the next quarter I'm due for a promotion. I will jump from 5K to 50K, right? Right? Guess what? There's a law that says that your income, your expenses will grow to the level of your income anytime you get promoted, right? So you have to be disciplined. You have to be disciplined. I know for a fact that I'm not a disciplined person when it comes to savings, but guess what I've done? Systems and structure. There's a group that I created when I was in the army in 2006. We call it KP. It's more like an ASUSU system. It's our job, right? We come together, 12 of us, drop 1K every month, $1,000 every month. Each month, each of us take the full pot, right? So when it's my turn, I get 12K, right? When it is PF turn, you get 12K. That that company, I don't want to call it a company because it's like an NGO, right? Because we don't have profits. There's no profit. But that company, that's about the biggest thing I've ever founded, right? It's rolling on its own, right? Any achievement I've made, any capital intensive projects that I've done in America, the money came from that platform, right? I remember our first house. When we bought our first house, 2016, right? That was the money I used for down payment. Immediately I collect my 12K, my salary just came. I just added $500 to it, and down payment is done. Imagine if I had to go and depend on just my salary to go and drop 12,500. How much was I earning then? As a soldier, I think I was earning about $3,000. Right? You say I have to do like 3-4 months and not eat or drink gari, right? So your salary is very, very important. That's the bottom line of that story. Number 2, investor readiness. If you really want to scale, you must be ready like for investors. And when investors come, there's no story. Don't try to over-explain the product. Just show us traction. Tell us, oh, I started this in January. This is September. We have moved from 1 client to 1,000. That is what we want to see. What is the unit economics, right? Say this phone, it cost me $10 to produce it, but we sell it for $100. That is amazing unit economics, right? That is what we need. We don't want shalaye to like don't because
Yes,
sorry,
but
someone has
don't.
all right. Yeah, strong sound unit economics and strong credibility. Credibility is very, very important. I cannot say too much about that. Credibility is very, very important. Ah, God. In this journey, there was a guy that Midler was supposed to invest in. This guy was supposed to he was supposed to compete with Baba Jebu. We invest in anything and we want it to make sense, right? Because we buy into what people are using. Everything was fine. He pitches very well, outstanding guy, There's a network I belong to. I actually serve on the board, Premier Business Network, PBN. So I just put it in PBN that, oh, by the way, we are trying to invest in these guys. If you're interested, join us. That's how somebody eats me up and say, Wale, don't do it. I'm like, what do you mean? I jumped on a call with me. He told me how that guy collected money from them and disappeared. They don't even know where his house is at. Well, I mean, because of the kind of person I am, I have to give him benefit of that. So I told the guy, I said, oh, by the way, we got some information about you. We started a call with him and I asked him, what happened to the last money you collected from some investor? Of course, I didn't disclose who told me that gave me that information. That's how the guy began to kalolo. I'm like, okay. I was like, okay, we'll get back to you. But maybe tomorrow we'll get back to him. But we didn't fund it, right? Credibility is very, very important. It is very, very important. Don't spoil your name. Like I always tell my friends that where we are right now is nothing compared to where God is taking us, right? So like there's nothing that can make me like compromise on my values. Nothing. Because God has an amazing place prepared for us. All right. Smart capitals accelerate growth. So yeah, capital is important. When you get it, seek investors who had network. So it's not so when we say smart capital, it's not just money, right? They must do something better than money. It must be more than money. If any of my founder like send me a message, you should know I will pay attention to it. In fact, there's one and we provide all sort of support. There's a founder that, if they have, even if it is marital issue, we have therapists, honestly, because if the head is not working very well, he will lose money for us. so we have to take care of it, right? We do mentorship, we do governance, and the network is very wide and flung around everywhere. We have directors in banks. We have senior vice presidents in some of the biggest banks in America. We have like top software engineers in some of the Fortune 500 companies. Sorry, Fortune 10 self, not 500. 500 is too much, right? We have folks in Facebook in places like crazy places. So no matter whatever those startups need, it's just one email away. And guess what? Some of those guys have invested in them, but they wouldn't know, right? So when they reach out to me, I connect them, and we move to the next level. All righty. Okay. All right. The next one is market and product strategy. Number one, for you to be able to scale your business, your product must achieve something we call the product market fit before you scale it. What is the product market fit? Okay, let me see. Okay, yeah, thank you. I was in class yesterday. PF mentioned that I'm back doing my doctorate. Yeah, that's also out of boredom. I love to ask questions a lot so that I won't disturb my wife with too much question. I went to check into other dedication, and I have some unserious adults that we are disturbing ourselves. So a question came up yesterday. We're talking about scaling. Somebody asked, do you know how long it took Facebook to reach 100 million? I don't know if I can ask if anybody can answer that, right? It took Facebook years, I think about 12 years, between 10 and 12 years before they reached 100 million users, right? Can anyone tell me how much it took OpenAI, ChatGPT to reach 100 million? I can help you. Of course, definitely it's not 12 months. It's not 12 years. It took them just 2 months. 2 months. You know why? The difference is product market fit. When Facebook came, ChatGPT, in fact, it wasn't even Facebook when it started, it was the Facebook, right? And it was created just for in fact, not for Harvard students. It was created for a particular hall of residence. The boys were just playing around. They wanted to see which, they wanted to make it easier for them to toast girls. That is what Facebook was done. Well, right? It was later on they begin to refine. They removed the D, right? And now it's Facebook, right? So all of those changes and everything is to achieve product market fit, right? I remember the first time I heard about Facebook, it was during my internship at Adax Petroleum. A colleague was like, "Are you on Facebook?" I'm like, "What's that?" Right? But guess what? The difference is when somebody told you about ChatGPT, you don't need to say what's that. They just tell you go and ask a question because we all know about Google already, right? Product market fit. All those examples might be esoteric. So let me give you one that you understand. If you're a very good cook, I'm sure many of you have some caterers around you. There are some people that if a caterer comes to you, your favorite caterer, and say, "I want to start packing jollof rice in boxes and selling," and this person can cook, do you think it will have product market fit or not? It's going to be a sellout, right? So what are we saying, right? Look for products that you don't have to do too much explanation before people can get it, right? Number two, have a wedge strategy. Start narrow, dominate your niche, then expand it to adjacent market. I was telling you about the farm earlier on. One of the major issues we have was trying to win them off the people that are currently the vendors that some market and some restaurants and all that was currently using. And few months ago, we stumbled on the gold mine. We found out that there's this product that all the bigger slaughterhouses that we are competing with, they couldn't do those things because it's nasty. It's time consuming. But guess what? We are small. We can do right. The moment we got that product right. In fact, we have not even to tell you how crazy it is. We have not even done any ads. There's nothing released out there, and it's deliberate. For word of mouth, we did it for one restaurant, one caterer. It told the next one because she made a video about it. This is what we did, what we got, right? Of course, they didn't put my name in, in the post, right? But of course, the colleagues reached out and said, "Where did you get that stuff?" He's a Salami's fan. Guess what? Right now, we circled all the people connected to that particular restaurant, right? And this is the beauty of farming. If I want to sell goods to PF and Mr. Tosin, it because they are not a big family, right? It will take them probably between 3 months to 6 months to finish a goat, right? But if I'm selling goods, the same goods to a caterer or a restaurant, can you imagine how long it will take them, right? So that is OpenAI and Facebook, right? So you would know when it is getting there, right? It's been amazing. That product has been amazing. Our goal now is to double down, like tear down all the walls. Leverage technology, data, and automation to scale efficiently and outpace competitors. Yeah, like I said, some of the things that these guys can do is they don't even have MailChimp. We have MailChimp, right? We have data of all our customers. Many of them are nasty to customers, right? So those are the things you can use to get to the next level. All righty. Okay, so let's now look at governance and accountability. For me, I once read a book titled Goals. I think it was written by Jim Rohn. The supreme thought from that book was the guy said, Jim Rohn said, never start a year. Oh no, let's not go there. He said, never start a day until you have finished it. Never start a week until you have finished it. Never start a month until you have finished. I was like, maybe, yeah, it makes sense. The one that eats me out, it was like, never start a year until you have finished it. I'm like, okay, you are doing too much now. But when he broke it down, it was simple. What it meant is that in life, there are two forms of creation. There is the spiritual and there is the physical. Okay, right? But sociology has done it in a way that so that it won't look like too cumbersome. So they remove spiritual. They said there's the mental creation, and there's the physical creation. There's nothing on this earth, nothing, zero, that has ever been created that hasn't gone through that two models, right? this what I'm sharing is very deep, right? And if you get it, nothing will be impossible to you, right? Whatever you want to do, have the patience to sit down and write it down. The reason why you have not achieved that goal is because you are too busy. You haven't put it down, right? If you look around my office, you see me pack different things on different stuff, right? I write. The first way to even start, write for yourself first. Like, I mean, we all have jobs, right? Do you know that there's no company that you work with that is succeeding that doesn't have something called a mission statement, right? They have mission statement, they have vision statement. As a human being, you need one for yourself too. And PF can take care. I'm sure PF would have done that work, right? You need all of those things, right? When you are done with all of, because those are the foundations. Right? Once you have done all of those things, then sit down and set goals for yourself. Never start a day before you finish it. And the only way you can finish it is through your goals. You finish it through your goals, right? You finish it through your goals. Every last week of the preceding year, I always take a break, go away. Like sometimes I go away from home, not because they are bothering me, it's because I want to, like, clarity of thought. If you notice, most of my trips I take at the end of the year, it's not because I want to go and see see anybody. It's so that I can be alone with my thoughts and set goals for the next year. Right? I started my DBA and all of this stuff. It's part of what happened last year, right? And it's very, very important. Goals are very, very important. So another thing that is very important is setting structures. Governance. Governance is key. I told you what I mean. The issue I had in 2023 and how somebody from our board stepped up and started running Midlo. And they did an excellent job. In fact, we had programs that were scheduled. You know, some people, they will tell you something happened, they are canceling this, they are doing this, but I won't be able to do this. Nah, if you have an organization that can outlive you, that should not happen. And I'll give you an example. How many of us remember when was it 2 years ago during Super Bowl that the helicopter taking the CEO of Access Man crashed? Very sad event. Very sad. The nation was thrown into mourning. There were a lot of dramas from his church and all of those stuff, but that's not why we're sharing this. What stunned me about Access Bank was within 24 hours, they announced a replacement, someone to act in that role. Right? Within 6 months, they brought back Ike, his former boss and colleague, to come back and like set the house in order. Right? That is what I'm talking about. And you cannot do stuff like that if you don't have, if you don't have strategic guidance, right? Boards see, if you're running a company today, I don't care what it is, even if it's a trading, if it is selling wigs, you need a board. Just don't go and bring somebody like PF into your wigs. No, it's the funny thing, it doesn't matter. Because if PF is there, he will add value, right? The point I'm trying to make is take advantage of your friend and family. I have a mantra. I tell people, I say, don't make useless acquaintances. There's nobody who calls me friend who is not providing any value to me. If you notice, most of the people that I'm closest to, they serve on my board. That is the reason we are friends. Though. If I don't know where you're going, we cannot be friends. Simple as ABC. Number 2, investor-driven accountability. Accountability is very, very key. There's nothing we are doing at Midlo or that cannot open up to anybody. There's nothing. One of the major headaches we have as an India network is getting updates from the people we have given money to. And guess what? I was in Harvard, I was in Stanford last year for a program, and was talking to the professor, and this issue came up, and I asked the professor, I said, how do you think we can solve it? Guess what? The Stanford professor said, well, this problem has existed before I was born. It will continue after I'm gone. I don't know how to do it. It was like, you just, before you invest, look at their character and all of that. But that wasn't enough. But guess what? I kept on asking that question. You know what I've learned about life, and I think I got this from PF, is that the quality of answers you get is a function of the quality of the kind of questions you are asking, right? So, because anytime you say you are thinking, what exactly are you doing? You're not, because people make it look esoteric, like thinking is like you are building a ship. No, when you say you're thinking, what you're doing is you are asking questions all over again. You're turning that question in your head. You ask it this way, you turn it this other way. You're asking questions. Thinking is asking questions, right? So in thinking, we stumble on this idea. We call it facts behind the numbers. So what we do is, if a tech founder is running away from giving us update after we give them money, we say, Mr. Founder, guess what? We have a new program at Midlo where every year, just once a year, just one out of 365, at least you have 1 hour for us. Come to us and tell us in the last 1 year what has changed with your business. And I told them, guess what? In case you need fundraising, maybe, we don't mind if we gave you 100,000 last year, we can double it to 200K. Guess what? They all lined up. That was how we solved that problem. They come in and they are fighting. It was, in fact, the last one we had, it was chaired by our board chair and another member of our investment committee. We had to be the one telling them information they shouldn't share to the public. Right? Problem solved. Battle body system. This is one is very, very important. See, I've seen many marriages crash. And PF will tell you for free. The first corollary about that is, as a woman, don't marry a man who you don't know anybody you can report him to. That is an accident going somewhere to happen, right? Accountability is very, very important, right? And as a man, don't marry a woman that will tell you go send to the manager like that is because when it happens, you won't be able to say anything to her, right? So what is the battle body system in the U.S. Army? When you are under training, the first training you receive as a soldier, of course, when you get into a base saying I want to come in for training, the first thing they do is they will cut off all your head. They will shave you, like no matter what, if beards, they will remove it, right? They want you in the way God created you, right? And then they will not tell you wherever you go, even to the toilet, you must not go alone. You must not go alone because in the history of the US Army, we've had cases where soldiers, because of the way the training is going, they get depressed and they go and kill themselves, right? So how does the military solve it? They say, whatever you are doing, shall have someone else behind you. Even if you are going to what? To the toilet, the person will stay outside. Of course, they won't enter with you. Stay outside, and every 5 minutes checking in with you that Alpha, you are not done. I better come outside, right? Body body system is so interesting that is it like you can get into problem for violating it. And that was the first problem I got into when I when I was in the military. My first week, we were on the camp on the ground doing exercise, and then there was this young lady, white young lady, slim, right? She was, because during PT you don't wear your uniform. In the military, it's only through the uniform that you know the rank of the person. You have to literally look at their chest to get their rank. So during PT, there's no rank. So I met this soldier from Sierra Leone. I don't want to call his name. He's a big boy now. In fact, he's a first sergeant now. He has grown in the military. Amazing guy. So I met him. We became friends, right? When you get to a new place, you look for anybody that looks like you and have common shared values. So we became friends. And so while the PT was going on, we were messing around. So I think the woman beside us said something more like trying to correct my friend. And my friend just looked at her and just laughed, right? Of course, me, I didn't do anything. I was just like, somebody's about to get in trouble. Because I don't even know who it was about. But I felt like, okay, that's disrespectful. But guess what? That's how we finished the PT. As we finished the PT, they said, so just go. So we're carrying our mats to roll. The woman just said, she called one of the drill sergeant that was commanding the thing. She called the guy, and the guy came and gave her a salute. I said, I think, well, apparently that was the commander of the unit. She was like a broom, lepa to the core. That's how she said, this soldier was rude to me, and I need to deal with him. You remember, I wasn't the one that was rude, though. I wasn't the one that was rude, If you want to be rude, don't even go and be rude in the military base, right? So me, I was just like, any delay. I just packed my bag and like try to sneak away. As I took the second step, she was like, soldier, hold on. She's like, where are you going? I'm like, yeah, is the one in trouble? I just want to leave it so that I can deal with it, right? So I nope. He said, what is the second principle? I'm like, which second principle? But I don't even know any principle. I just got here. Apparently, it is against military ethics for you to leave a comrade in distress. I'm like, yeah, we have not even you have not taught us this thing, so I don't know. But guess what? Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. Anyway, so I am supposed to stay with that guy because I'm his battle buddy. I was supposed to be the accountability guy, so that whatever, because tomorrow it can become a case, and they'll be like, when this thing happened, who was there? So the military always wants you to be with somebody, so that when something happens, you won't say, I don't know what. No, you must know what happened. Anyways, we got into trouble. Of course, they said whatever that guy got as a punishment, which was I think 31 days of cutting grass. Guess what? Guess who was body on that stuff? I was the one. We did it together, because I tried to run away. If I had just stayed there, listened to everything, I'll probably not get in trouble. So in life, my point, the corollary is this: in life, don't go alone. You can get lost. I watched a video recently of Pastor Poju, admonishing people, don't do things alone. Like, don't do life alone. You will get killed on the street. Because it's very easy for you to take somebody who is going alone out. It's very, very easy. That is why the military is against it. Don't do life alone. Alrighty. Next, scaling beyond borders. So how do you go international? I know many of us are in Canada, in Nigeria. You're like, oh, the opportunities are there. What do we do? I'll say adopt a global mindset early, even if you are executing locally, right? Have a global mindset. I love listening to Bishop David Oyedepo. When he was leading, I think about 10 people, you say we are a global ministry. We're a global ministry. I said, isn't that crazy? Baba, you have not even get to the airport. No, we are a global ministry. It is very, very important. You know why? Remember what I said about 2 levels of creation: first in the mind, then in the physical. First spiritual, then physical, right? If you cannot, this is it. If you cannot see it with the mind of your eyes, you can never see it with your physical eyes. Sefini. So it starts with the mind. Leverage is very, very important. I've already told you, leverage partnership networks. At Midlo, we've partnered with IFC. They were doing some research on angel networks, blah, blah, blah. They reached out to us. We ran towards them. In fact, then we set up a call and I brought our board chair so that they know that it's serious, right? And they loved it. We gave them whatever they needed, right? I hope we are not recording this. Okay, because we are recording, I have to remove some details. But we are so influential within this metroplex that we can actually get you into some rooms. I'm not saying we can. We have gotten our members into some rooms that it would have taken them otherwise like years to get into. Right? You want to get into a program and all of that stuff. Recommendation saying, "Oh, you are a member of Midlo Angels." Personal story. There was a program I applied for. I think it was my MBA, EMBA, and because I was late. It was too late before I saw the information that they were closing. So they said I needed to write personal statement and all of that. I told them, "Okay, I have to go back to Canada." I was still in the military. I said, "I will not have time to sit down and write." They were like, "Have you written anything before?" I said, I write a lot. So I gave them my medium.com link. And the guy looked at all my and said, don't worry, you're good. They just took 2 of my articles and put it as personal mission statement. It's very, very important. You need to, have a global mindset, even if you're acting local. Cross-border expansion, US or Africa, understand the regulation, the culture, the capital flow. I would say understand the is it tax or what's that guy doing now? All the drama that is unfolding, so that you don't get caught in the web of whatever is happening. Lesson from failure. We said I've invested in about 45 companies and all of that. I didn't tell you is some of them have failed, and guess what is expected in the venture capital industry. We have a rule called the 100, 10, and 1 rule. Meaning that if you want to make any investment, we look at 100 companies. 100 companies, we screen them. And out of those 100, we'll pick 10. Out of those 10, for us to be able to, so let's say we pick 10 and we give them $13,000, meaning we have invested 100K, right? 100K. For us to be successful as a network, I need just one. Out of those 10 to give me, like, say, 50x or 100x, and we are good. And what do I mean by 100x? That means if I gave him $10,000, 10x would be 100K, right? 100x would be 1 million, right? So if one of them give me 1 million, are we good or not? We are very good. We are very good. So that's the way it works, right? One will do extremely well and to erase the failure of the others, right? So that's why I tell angels, instead of putting 50,000 into one, no, spread it around. Say 5K, you can do 10. Right? That's the way it works. It's a law of averaging. burning capital on vanity growth. This one, I think I will leave PF to come and take this this subject because PF is passionate about it. We fund some founders and we see them making money and doing all sorts. And it's crazy. It is crazy. But I mean, I've learned you really have to ignore some things, right? For me, just let's focus on what we are doing, right? Everybody will be all right. Ignoring governance erodes investor trust and make fundraising impossible. Yes, we have seen some companies shut down, because the last time they got money, oh Lord, we have a founder. I think I can tell you about this one. He raised $2 million, $2.5 million actually. We invested in him in 2021 at a valuation of $5 million. The guy grew so well, I grew up to 45 million in valuation. And then he raised $2 million. In fact, one of the biggest fintech at that time invested $2 million into them. I think MoneyPoint invested. So you know what I'm talking about if you are close, if you are a very first time in that industry. MoneyPoint invested in them with a view of acquiring them later on. But of course, number one, that founder, oh Lord, is very difficult to work with. MoneyPoint told him they were going to, about their plans, right? The next thing this guy did is to send emails to all investors that MoneyPoint is about to invest in him. They're about to acquire him. I'm like, dude, no. There are some things that, there are some stories you keep, you nurture, and you only tell probably one or two people that you know that their mouth is not out there, right? Of course, the moment you send it to investors have different, like some investors, their wife is a journalist with CNN. You have told they will go and share it now. That's how so by the time in the next 1 hour, that thing got to TechPoint. TechPoint released it like this. The board of MoneyPoint started harassing the CEO. Like, you want to go and acquire this guy without telling us? That's how they did that. That's how they did that. But that's not even the point. That's not what killed that company. This guy, the 2 million, he took 500K to go and do adverts, putting mass different thing on Third Mainland Bridge. Anyways, the point is, be a good steward of other people's money. That is very, very important. Scaling checklists. What are the checklists you need for you to scale? Number one, I think we've already said that before. So this is like I'm bringing it all home because we need to wrap up. Clarity of vision is very important. Product market fit is very important. Your North Star should be crystal clear. What do you want to be known for? What do you want to be known for? If you call that a Geo, they'll tell you humility, right? Holiness. Reverend Sam, humility. David Oyedepo, you know what they are known for. And Apple, you know what they are known for, right? For you to get to the next level, you need to have a North Star. What are you going to be known for? Strong system and processes. They have to be documented, repeatable. They have to be scalable. Very, very scalable. The next one is hire the right talent and team. The right talent and team. Don't do nepotism. If your nephew cannot do the job, don't hire your nephew, right? It's very, very important. And if you hire your nephew, ensure that you are giving him the toughest of time. All right. Governance and accountability is very, very important. Checks and balances that prevent costly mistakes. They prevent costly mistakes. When you have checks and balances, they prevent costly mistakes. Why? Because let me tell you, for instance, anytime I release anything, even on my personal WhatsApp story, I'll see my board member checking me, Wale, what's this one about? Because they are judging you at every time. Every time, they are judging you. And they have the right to judge you. They gave you money, right? Global mindset. Build for today, but plan for expansion tomorrow. Build for today, plan for expansion. Today, we are supplying some folks locally with a product that is changing the game, right? We have plans already to scale, to ship out of Dallas, across America, right? That's how you build. All righty. So what are the metrics to build? What are the metrics? There's something we call the CAC, customer acquisition cost. What exactly does that mean? It means how much does it cost you to win a new customer, right? I won't talk so much about that. You can Google all of those things. They are all over there. We also have LTV. LTV is the total revenue that you expect from one customer, right? If PF is my customer now, in a year, I know you'll buy goods at least twice, right? So if a goat costs $500, so I'm expecting $1,000 from PF, right? And as God tarries, if I know him for 20 years, I can estimate how much I'll make for him from 10 years, right? That's the way companies think. So if you want to build a business that will scale, you need to think like that. Churn rate, what's the churn rate? How fast are you losing customers, right? Churn rate is very, very important. If you run a fintech, you need to have NPL, like non-performing loan. What's the rate, right? So it varies with industries, right? We also have bond multiples. Bond multiple is how how efficient are you? Is your capital being utilized? Like how you like? Let's say it costs you $10,000 to run the company on a monthly basis, right? So what that means is that you will need 120K to run for 1 year, right? That's your bond multiples. So if you need 120K to run for 1 year, but your revenue is 50K, do you think the business can succeed or not? It's failing, right? And for you to be able to burn in $10,000, you better be making 1 million, right? That is why you need to cut your coat according to your size might not even work. According to the clothes. Cut your coat according to the clothes. If it doesn't fit a trouser, wear as it, sew a shirt. Operational cash flow. This is very, very important. Sustainability checks is beyond just revenue, right? Is the business producing capital? Like, is there it's very important. In closing insights, I would say scaling takes discipline. It is not a sprint. Speed without structure is dangerous. Don't be in a hurry to scale. Don't be in a hurry to scale. It's not how fast you climb the ladder. The first question you ask is the ladder leaning against the right wall? That is more important than the speed. All right. Build the business that will outlive you. Legacy over vanity. There are some things we don't do, and it's deliberate. It's because this thing we are building, we want to hand it over to our children, right? It's not vibes. And inshallah, no, we are building serious. We are building for legacy. We have legacy mindset. Growth without structure is a trap. If something is happening in your business and you cannot understand it, you cannot document it, you are not in charge of it. Remember what I said about speed within the company and outside the company. If the speed of change outside outside the company is greater than the one within the company, you are gone. It means the business will die eventually. Okay, and lastly, I will share with you about Midlow. We empower founders with capital, mentorship, and global networks. If you are building something fantastic that is tech-enabled, that you think can scale, please do not run away from us. Come talk to us. All right, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I think I'll hand over back to the moderator.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Wale. Thank you so much. I'm sure we have a lot of questions, so we're going to ask you a few. Unfortunately, our time is fast spent, but we'll ask at least some questions. If you have a question, you can raise your hand. I'll call you, or you can put your question in the chat box. But the first question I'm going to ask Wale is for those that want to scale. I mean, someone that talked about it. Our people struggle to build systems, right? They struggle to build systems that is replicable. Maybe for personal weakness, or sometimes to even find the manpower, especially if you operate in Nigeria. I mean, employable people are very, very scarce, right? In our company, for example, we don't even look at your CV anymore. We'll go and check your family, the family you came out from. As in, that's because CVs can be, people can have the best degrees, but then they can't even function on the. So, how do you, what's your counsel for people who are trying to maybe build a system, processes, but maybe they don't even know how to, or maybe they need help?
Yeah, thank you very much, PF. That is a very important question, and I think I've actually alluded to it in my comment in my presentation. But it's simple. It's simple. If you want to experience miracle, be around where it's happening. That's the first law, right? I was in a room with PF 19 years ago, right? I saw him, I was like, no, I want to be like this dude, right? Because he was talking and wisdom was dropping. And at that time, I was empty-headed. I'm like, no. Because if you are friends with 9 millionaire, you'll be the 10th. As simple as ABC, right? So whatever you don't have, use networking to assess it, right? And so when you are connecting with people, you want to network, do not be desperate, because they can see, they can smell it, right? Don't be desperate. The easiest way to work with anybody, to get mentored have lunch with somebody, I have something to offer. I have something to offer, like volunteer. There's a lady that came last year. I don't know where she found me. I think I spoke somewhere and she was like, Mr. Wale, hey, I love what you're doing. I want to mentor, I want you to mentor me and all of that. I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, what do you do? She's into data analysis and all of this stuff. And we were having issues with data and middle. So I was like, can you volunteer for us? Right. Guess what? She ran away after 1 month. Right? Whatever, I think it was Otedola that said it. He said the money that you cannot spend is not yours. Whatever you cannot give, you don't have it. Right. And we live in a society where people want to take and take it. They don't want to give. They don't want to give. You need to learn to give, you know. Yeah, so how do you do that? Network with people who are doing it already. And guess what? You don't need to go far. Those people are with you already. They are in your churches, they are in your mosque, they are in your even in your offices, right? Except you're not dealing with human being, right? And don't be too, some people are too big to ask for help. PF knows. In fact, I asked for help from PF, like it was not last week, PF. You are not too big to ask for help. You are not too big. A closed mouth will lead to a closed destiny. Ask for help and go out and network.
Okay, thank you very much, Wale. Any other person? Okay, someone is asking, God's will is asking, what has been your experience with ventures and investment with environment filled with noise and no serious value? Board members who only listens and worships to the founder. Some of the businesses can't show any serious financials, though the business has traction from what you see, but no financials to validate. Do you walk away?
Okay. I was wondering where that would lead to. So when it comes to funding or starting a company, I think SO has a question. SO, don't worry, we'll get to you. When it comes to funding companies, my ideology is this: funding a company or funding a startup is like catching a danfo bus. You miss one, the next one will come. So don't. There's something we call in the industry, we call it FOMO, fear of missing out. Don't let it get to you. You know how many days we missed that? I missed out on Andela. I got the email saying that we should invest in Andela. I was in the military that I was like, well, Andela, I don't know what they do, right? Missed out on Money Point. You missed out on some, right? But immediately I understand the industry. I started investing. The first exit I got was from this fintech in Ghana. I think it's called Dash. We invested 6 months later. They were raising another round and wanted to exit the pool with small checks. I invested just $1,000. Guess how much I made from that deal in 6 months? 11.3x. I got 11,000 from that $1,000, right? So it's not too late. Like, it's not too late to. So we have had some exit at mid-low that is about 2.5x, right? Nothing is too small. Once the company does not die, nothing is too small. Talking about noise, nuisance value, you have to cut through all of that, right? So for us, we have a metrics that we use before we invest in any company, right? Abdul will tell you, you must have launched. We don't do, I'll do it tomorrow. See, there are some people that they are my personal friends. They've come to me and say, Wale, I'm building something. I'll launch it tomorrow. I say, okay, that's fine. When you launch it, then after 3 months, bring the traction. We'll talk, right? You have to separate emotions, right? Separate emotions. In fact, I am very, very hard on myself, and that's why at Midlow we have built structure, right? When you are too close to me, I won't be the one to screen your deal. I'll take it to the investment committee, and those investment committee people, in fact, even if it is their pastor that is going for the money, they won't see the pastor. It's the numbers they are looking for, right? So you need to put in structures that would be unemotional, right? Because losing money is real. By the time you lose money, you will know how to walk away from deals, right? It's because part of the lesson, it's part of the process. All right.
Okay, Queen, you're raising your hand. You want to ask a question? I have some questions on the chat box. Queen, can you unmute yourself to ask your question? Queen. Okay, while Queen is trying to unmute herself, Desola is asking. Okay.
Hello. Hi.
Yeah.
Someone I put on my video, but my village people are on duty today. Hi, Wale. How are you? I'm good to hear you
Good.
speak again.
Hi, how you doing?
Very well. So my question is basically on scale, right? I do mentor some founders, and I think that a lot of them kind of like are capped in growth, right? You find a lot of, even the big companies averagely doing between 100K to 200K USD as revenue. A lot of them do 200K and they're stuck, right? They are just unable to move between there to a million USD in revenue, not in raising, right? And I just wanted to have your perspective as to why, even with the technology solution, with the innovation, with the number of users, they can do marketing. They know how to do performance marketing and show you vanity metrics, but it doesn't convert to revenue, right? So, like, what's going on? Like,
Okay.
why are they not able to make money even though they are big? You have big office, you have 100 staff, you have big technology, in 5 African countries. When you ask them for their books, you are shocked. Like, how are you this big in our eyes, but you're not making money?
Yeah, I say thank you. I mean, it's interesting to get that from someone in the ecosystem. So I know you understand the problem. It's very simple. John Maxwell has a principle he called the law of the lead. Right, it's the law of the lead. You can't give what you don't have. Right, everybody has a kind of I mean, that law is saying that some people function at different levels. Right, PF might be a 10 when it comes to leadership. Right, I might be a 2. Right? You need to have self-awareness enough to tell yourself, I am not cracking this. This is above my pay grade. Right? And as an entrepreneur, you need to be. That's why in America, you see some entrepreneurs, they step back and they some of them become VPs or they take another role and bring in an external candidate to come and run the company. Right? Maybe they need help. That if something is happening and you don't understand it, seek for help and be ready to step back. Like, and this is so. Let me say this so that people will understand, because most people, especially Africans, when it comes to, we have a problem with releasing power. Eh? The fact that you're no longer the CEO, it doesn't stop your shares from going from 60 to 1. You are still this one that owns 60% of the company. So the guy coming in will probably not even have up to 5%. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it doesn't affect the value itself, right? It's just all the CEO title is just title, right? So I think what is happening there is that there's something that is happening that is too big to understand by the leadership, right? So they probably need a new leadership or bring in a consultant or tap into their friends and family network. See, I live on a farm, right? There are some things that because I live here, I don't see. I'm blind to them because I see them every day. They're not big deal to me. Until when strangers come and be like, look at this is happening. I'm like, oh, okay. So sometimes you need outside lens. You need someone else to come in and critique, look at your program and critique it, and that's the importance of you having a governing board, right? So if I want to ask you, do they have a board? Most of those people, they don't want to do, they won't set up boards. If they have board, they are figureheads, right? So those are
Yeah,
the
they're
questions.
figuring it.
Yeah. So that's the issue. Once they fix that, they will be on stock, as it were.
Okay. Someone is saying, as a startup, if you are still small, how do you recommend I appoint a board, and what do I offer them in return for their services if I can't pay them?
Yes, you definitely can pay them. You should not pay them if you're a startup. There's something we call the advisory shares, right? And I mean, the person can reach out. We have a template. There's a YC template. Google it. YC template for advisory shares. When you're bringing in people to your board, you can offer them as little as 0.5% of the company or 1%. 1% is even too much, right? And let me warn you, because you might think 1%, I still have 99 left. 1% of 1 million, is not the same thing as 1% of 1 trillion, right? Because that company is going to grow someday. And then you'll not be like, if I had known, I wouldn't have given Wale 5%, right? So you can give them something. Give them something. And then also don't be, many founders are too selfish. There's a guy we invested in. This one is a very sad story. Out of Houston, amazing idea, is doing very well. Like, it was in the food processing industry, fabulous. The first red flag I saw with this guy was, he said he was not doing safe documents, so he wanted to give us straight shares, PF. So we invested. I can't even remember how much we invested. He gave us shares only for him to send document, and I look at the document, And I realized that he's selling us Series C shares. I'm like, okay, what happened to Series A? He said, no, it's for the founder alone. He wants to. This guy is a mosquito trying to act like a lion. Like, I mean, it's okay if Elon Musk is doing Series C because Elon Musk has a lot of enemy. He needs to protect himself. Okay, you have not proven yourself. The business is not even succeeding yet. You're already doing all sort of nonsense. It wasn't surprising. He announced he was shutting down like a few months ago. You know, yeah, me, I just smiled. Right. So for me, because of the experience I lacked when wanted to make that investment, I went ahead. If I as in 2020, I said it's 2020, knowing what I know now, by me people like that, I'll just tell him thank you very much. We'll talk to you later. I will never touch them with a long spoon. Right. And there are a lot of them. There was one too that one I was lucky I collected my money back. This guy, I met with him. This was even ideas. It has not, this was ideas. It was in the ideas phase. I told him I'm going to give him 10K, a valuation of 5 million. He went to talk to somebody else, told that person I'm investing. That one said, don't worry, I'll give you that one. The guy tripled the money I was giving the guy. And the guy came back to me and said, I'm sorry, that 5 million, we can't do it at 5 million again. We'll do it at 10 million. I said, it's not me, you give me back my money. Thank God I collected my money, PF. Because he launched 2 months after launched. The company is dead. He has relocated now. With investors' money, as it's well.
So that's where I want to go into, Wale. Two questions in one. How do you handle this new, for lack of a better word, 419 thing called startup, where people they ask for investment? I mean, as someone who has run my business, I can't even say after how many years, I can't even say my business is fully profitable. All right. Yet I'm burning my head, busting my head every day, staying in there, not leaving it. But it looks like we have a new ideology of people who have no plan to stay on this business for the long haul. But then they can do the PowerPoint, do everything, and for me, I check behavior. If you collect donors funding or people's funding, and the next thing you are doing is to buy brand new cars that you don't need, I begin to raise, I'm sure your mind knows where I'm going. How do you, because it looks like people are scamming people with a bid not to sustain the business, but to just cash out, file for Chapter 11, and then they are gone. It's going to affect this business model. So that's on level one. The second question, which may be the final question, is there are people who cannot scale because they're emotionally attached to their business. So they are afraid of losing control. Someone has run a school for 30 years. The person is growing old. The children are not interested. And so it's looking like, where are we going to start from? Are we going to give what I've started to someone else? So that fear is always there. What do you have for those? So those would be my two final questions, I guess.
Thank you, PM. I was praying you would not go there, but knowing you, I know you would go there. It's simple. It is not a Nigerian founder issue. It's not a Nigerian founder problem. I'm being real with you. It's a global menace, right? In fact, in Silicon Valley, we found out that 5% of tech startups in Silicon Valley, they wake up every day to start an LLC to scam investors. 5%. Yeah. So the Nigerian founders they are still learning work, as it were. What can we do about it? We can't cry about it. Is to tighten our due diligence process, right? There are some at Midlo. There are some internal mechanisms that our board have forced us to do. Right. If you want to take money from us now, you have to, apart from signing the safe document, you must sign some other accompanying document telling us how often we're going to be hearing from you. If we don't hear from you, we can demand our money back. We're going to put it like you're going to sign it, right? Like there's a founder I reached out to. Was it this week? Abdul. The guy said he was too busy doing what he's doing now. He doesn't want to come for the program we're inviting him for. When I told the guy that introduced him to us that before we invest, the guy was like, he collected our money, doesn't want to talk to us. I said yes, so it's a global thing. It's just annoying when it comes close to home, when you know them, right? So for us, what we are doing is to ensure that some of those things we tie them to a contract, right? To documents that we can use as like later on to untangle. The other question, I can't even remember the other question.
Yeah, the people who have run a company for a long time, they are getting old. They're emotionally attached, and so it's looking like it's literally going to die if they die, because they can't detach for obvious reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, for those people, it's very simple. When you run an organization, it doesn't your kids don't have to succeed you. I don't know where that mentality come from. Not every organization has to be passed down to your children, right? I mean, we see case in point, RCCG. It was passed down to a stranger, and see where he has. I mean, where he's taking it to. We are hoping that we continue, you know, it will continue, so that we can get to the next level. What I'll say is be open about it. Have a transparent process for transition process, a transparent transition process, right? Let everybody know that it is PF that is my deputy, is the one I'm going to hand over to, right? And put in. So there's something GE I learned from Jack Welch, the former CEO of General Electric. When he was interviewing to become CEO, there were five or four candidates. Immediately they interviewed all of them and decided Jack is going to be the CEO. You know what the board did? They fired all the other four. They fired them, not necessarily fired them, they gave them option to resign and they gave them packages. And Jack was like, he asked his boss that why do you have to, like, I like Rick. Rick is a good guy. I say, yeah, Rick is a good guy, but Rick is high on your on your job. Tomorrow, if he's still within here, he might be sabotaging you, right? So you need to be strategic. There's a particular church that is doing something similar, and I love it. A lot of it, of course, people will have opinions. A lot of people are saying all sort of rubbish, a lot of that. When it comes to building a legacy, you can't do it with emotion. You got to be like you got to be detached. You have to be detached and get the job done. I hope I answered that.
Yeah. Final question, please. Someone asked, sorry for this stupid question. How do you create valuation for a startup at already millions of dollars with zero BTG? This has affected my group's lag in doing business with startups. Please make this make sense for my team.
I think that's from Godwill. Godwill, it doesn't make sense and it will never make sense, right? So for us, what we do is, like I said, we have a metrics. We have a metric that tells us a company cannot be. For instance, if you want to come to us, you want us to invest in you, and you're at pre-stage, at that pre-seed level. That's the first time you're getting money. You cannot be. If once you are over $5 million, I will tell you we cannot invest in you, no matter how brilliant the idea. If you like, go and be ChatGPT. We will not touch it with a long spoon. And you know why we won't touch it? Because we are not afraid of losing out, right? You can go and be successful. We'll thank God for you later on, right? But we won't do it because we have benchmarks. And how did we get that benchmark? We looked at historical value. I have a mentor who invested in Uber in 2006 when Uber was just in one city, San Francisco. One city, right? At that time, Uber was not worth more than $5 million. So where are you coming from that you want to come? You say you're worth 10 million and you want me to give you money, right? So that's what we look at different stages of funding. And it's also, valuation is a very, 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 very complex thing, right? Because there are different metrics you can use to see how a company is valued. For me, the major one is revenue. So if we are not generating money yet, it's a non-starter, right? It's a non-starter for us. That's why for us, we don't fund pre-launch companies. We don't fund pre-revenue companies. You must have because if you're running a company and you're not making money, you really are not running a business. What you're running is an NGO. So just convert, go and get 501c. Yeah, it is what it is.
Thank you very much, Wale. Thank you. We're really, really grateful. Thanks for obliging us and for spending time with us. God bless you. Okay, Ayo Lawrence and